Hey everybody, it's Dr. Julie Quinn here, and I want to introduce you to week 4. So in 393, this is an important week where we talk about PARC principles, and I apologize in advance. Sometimes the principles are also called the CRAP principles. So if you see them flipped around with a different acronym, it's the same principles. They stand for proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast, and they will be really helpful for you, especially as you move into writing assignment 3, which is the quick start guide, and the hybrid assignments that are part technical, part academic, and writing assignments 4 and 5. Okay, so this week, there's not a lot of volume like there have been in previous weeks with a ton of extra side reading, but what you will see are some video tutorials on the PARC principles. And in a nutshell, proximity is how are related materials on a website or in a document bundled together closely, right? You want material, content that's related to be close together, and that would be the proximity idea, the proximity principle. Alignment would be, if you think of margins as one example of alignment, in a block business letter, you will find like a left justified alignment where the left margin, everything is writing on that left margin. You can see right here, we have what's called a left justified alignment on the page in the center section. There's really nice alignment here in Leo. You can see that the right is staggered, and that's just, that's pretty common. We don't have that spread out spacing where you have weirdly inconsistent gaps between each word. So the left justification and the staggered right side is a very common way, at least in English, for content to be delivered in writing. Repetition is the use of similar fonts or the use of a thoughtful, purposeful color scheme. Repetition in style and color and layout helps unify a document or a website. And finally, contrast. What you see on the screen in front of you shows good contrast. We have a light background, kind of grayish blue on this side, white here until I hover over it, but mostly white with a black text. And to make certain words pop, we bold them. Bad contrast would be if I turned all of this text, let me do a little bit of it to show you. If I turned this text from black to maybe gray, see what happens. That's really poor contrast. And the reason is that if you saw an entire website with a white background and not much contrast, not much differentiation between the two, it makes it harder to read and it strains the eyes. I once had a student submit work in neon green font on a white background, and I'm like, oh, I can't really read that. So you want to think about colors and design consistency as well in the documents you create, starting with your quick start guide, which is writing assignment number 3, which is coming up. So those are those concepts that we're going to talk about. You'll see video tutorials on each of the principles. These are pretty short. You will also get a chance to sort of see this presentations and review of the concepts, and then finally textbook chapters on the concepts. And so these terms are going to be our main focus for the week. And as we layer them in, you'll see a discussion, our second discussion for week 4 talks about just 2 of them, with alignment and contrast. And you'll see a model post from me this week where I talk about what I see. And I think it would be interesting for you to compare that. I hope my post will be up sometime on Friday. Okay. In addition, you have a discussion topic for week 4 that talks about preparing for the bigger assignments to come. This is called Report to the Supervisor. Okay, so writing assignment number 3 that's due at the end of this week is your quick start guide, and that's a modification of it's a significant condensing of your instructions. So writing assignments 1, 2, and 3 are all related on the same thing. Writing assignment 4, the report to the supervisor, is different. It's an entirely new theme. It's workplace writing, but with technical writing principles. When I was a technical writer and editor, I worked for an engineering firm, and I had to do a lot of these internal reports. And often, depending on who the stakeholders, the readers are for those internal reports, you're required to follow a particular format or set of processes for that. So this sort of requires you to do some academic research and to write a report that focuses on an industry issue for your company. So we'll go over this in much more detail next week, but just know that this discussion asks you to look at the assignment overview for week 4, and here's where you can find it. Let me just view as a learner. So I'm doing it from my student view. You can go into activities and assessments under assignments, and you can see the description of report to the supervisor. Again, I will do a video of this at the beginning of that week. Everybody's got the same prompt, just FYI. This is a 12 to 1500 word report. It's not introduction, body, conclusion like an essay, but it does have features that make it seem somewhat hybrid. Academic essay with the shape of introducing a content, letting a reader go, data in the middle, and also sort of the academic or research component of this topic. Everybody would be writing on the same one for this assignment. So just sort of keep that in the back of your mind. For writing assignment number 2 for the week, it's that compare and contrast 2 websites for alignment and contrast. Okay, you've watched video tutorials, apply those principles, and think about how alignment and contrast appear on Toronto Cupcakes website and Wicked Good Cupcakes website. Okay, so you will all be looking at the same websites, and we'll be generating a discussion to make sure that the concepts, we're really comfortable with them, because we'll be using them from here on out. Okay, the final thing that you've got going on, we introduced last week. It's this assignment to complete. It is the Quick Start Guide. It's a 1-page. I'm only looking for a 1-page document. Okay, and you're taking your instructions from writing assignment number 2 and you're condensing them. You don't have to label images. You want to make this guide just a generalist guide. Don't worry about your personas at this point. You will see that the overview talks about the advantages of providing 1-page guides for users who will do a process maybe a couple of times a year. They don't do it every day, so they don't memorize the process, but they do it enough to need to have a quick refresher of a technical process. Okay, so this is due at the end of week 3, and if you want to work with me on this, excuse me, I think we're actually in week 4. Writing assignment 3. Sorry for my speaking there. This is due at the end of the week. It's due September 13th. And if you want to work with me, I would recommend reaching out to me to set up time. Some evenings during the week, I've got family events, and other evenings I'm actually teaching night classes. So we'll want to sort of set up some time in advance if you want to work together on any aspect of the course. So this week you've got some readings on park principles, you've got 2 discussions, and you've got to submit your quick start guide. Final note, if you go into activities and assessments and you go to writing assignment number 3, as I reminded students on every assignment, use the rubrics as an editorial checklist to make sure you have a 1-sentence overview or introduction. You also have a title for the document. Your length is just a page, and that's 10 points. The quality and the originality of the graphics, you're including graphics in writing assignments 2 and 3. Graphics are aligned. There's that term alignment. So if you have images on like the left border for the first one, they all need to be on the left border, right? That they're original screen captures and that they're not so small. I'm an old lady, well, oldish lady who wears glasses, and I'm going to need to be able to read the document without blowing it up. Okay. That your list of steps start with an appropriate imperative verb. Click, download, open, save, submit, that kind of thing. Your steps are numbered, and the list of steps provide clear instructions. Language choices, that's a little bit of the grammar. Document design is in here as well. Are you practicing those terms of proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast that we are working on this week? So 2 discussions, some readings, and your quick start guide are due this week. Reach out if you have any questions, and we can chat.